All right, good afternoon, everyone. Ristico, it's 3:30. Are you ready to go in council's chamber?
We're still waiting for James, Mr. Chair.
Okay, well, hang tight. Thank you.
You're welcome. We're good to go, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Development Permit Panel of July 30th. My name is Roland Zwag. I'm the General Manager of Engineering and Public Works and the Chair for today's meeting. On the panel today, we have Marie Fenwick, Director of Heritage, Culture, and Arts, and James Cooper, the Director of Building Approvals. We're also being supported by staff Andrew Norton and in Council's chamber. The panel deals with things such as form and character, such as parking, landscaping, architecture, and lighting. The panel does not deal with things like form and with matters of land use or density, as those are established through the zoning process. In terms of today's agenda, we have 2 items on the agenda. The order of business is when each item is being considered, there will be an opportunity for the applicant to provide a presentation, followed by staff comments. Panel members will then have an opportunity to ask questions of the applicant or staff, and we will then hear any public comments or written submissions related to the applications before panel deliberation. Of note, projects endorsed by the panel will proceed to council once the conditions are fulfilled. When items are considered by council, they are not delegatable, so if you are a member of the public and wish to make your views known, today is the best opportunity for that to occur. So with that in mind, we'll turn our attention to the agenda. The first order of business is Development Permit 23-016633. Although I think, Mr. Chair, I first have to adopt the minutes from the last development permit, if I remember correctly. So I think I need a motion to approve the minutes from the last development permitting panel held on July 16th, 2025. Do I have a mover?
Moved.
And a seconder?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that is carried. Thank you. So now we turn our attention to development permit number 23-016633. The applicant is Andrew Chung Architects Incorporated. The property location is at 3600 Lysander Lane. And there's a director's recommendation that an ESA development permit be issued at 3600 Lysander Lane, which would, 1, facilitate the subdivision of the site into 2 lots, Lot A and B, and the construction of 2 3-story multi-tenant mixed office industrial buildings on Lot B, and 2, vary the provision of Richmond zoning bylaw 8500 to reduce the number of large loading bays for non-residential use from 1 space to 0 for Lot B, and reduce the minimum required parking spaces for Lot A from 250 spaces to 84 spaces. So with that in mind, is the applicant here to make a presentation?
Yes.
Okay, and that's you, Kazra?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there slides that we can share, or should
Typically, the applicant shares their screen,
Okay.
if that's possible. And then at the end of your presentation, we'll ask you to turn off the share screen so we can have the questions and deliberations.
Okay. Is everyone seeing the screen?
Not yet. Okay, I see them now.
Okay. All right. So we will begin with this slide, which shows the neighborhood context. The site is a ZC10, which is an auto-oriented commercial zone, and it's located, as seen in this map. It's basically the very east edge of the Sea Island, the airport island, and our site is kind of shown in that circle, yellow circle, and the existing building, which is almost an S-shaped building, is shown placed almost close to the riverbank, which the green shows the environmentally sensitive area designation. There's almost a little overlap, so it's fairly close, leaving a large parking in front where the two red bars show our proposed buildings. One thing to notice here is the feasibility of the site, which kind of leads to our intention to do this project, which, you can see there's a Russ Baker Way, which is heavily trafficked, and a lot of cars pass by. And the site is also visible as you pass the Sea Island Bridge and the Arthur Lang Bridge to the north. So, with that, I'm going to the next slide, which shows the context. To the north, you can see the slide at the very top left, which is an older hotel, 10-story building in the marina, almost the same era, a little bit older than our building. To the south of it is the slide to the big image on the top right, which is a newer building, 3-story fitness building with offices and autism center and daycare facilities, also some parking in front. The center image shows the existing building, which is a modern building on our site, stepping building 5 stories, and shows the vast parking. The other thing to notice about this area is that this parking is underused, and studies we'll talk about that later. The studies show that parking is fairly underused, and therefore the opportunity to take this area in the middle for a new building. Now, to the east of the site is the Fraser River, the banking, which is most of what is shown in this bottom left image is actually the environmentally sensitive area, and there's a public pathway which is continuous between the neighboring buildings. And there's a dike that is going to be running along here, a future dike, which the trees kind of show the location of the dike. And the bottom right image shows the context to the west, which is Russ Baker Way, heavily trafficked, and then across from that, hardly visible because of the trees, is the Burkeville neighborhood, which is single families. Now, with that, we go to the strategy of subdivision, which follows the sites of the lines of our site, as well as access, which is along this east-west, the left-right in the middle of the site. There's this existing access from both Lysander Way and Hudson Avenue, and therefore we saw this opportunity to parcel out this yellow area, which is the subdivision that allows a 5,000 square meter, roughly, building made in 2 separate bars that are identical. And the parking is, in that area, of course, is resurfaced, but some of the parking you can see on the left of the image is untouched, just enhanced, as we'll talk about it in landscape further on. Going to the next slide. The two buildings as seen here are basically industrial buildings, which are allowed in this light industrial strata units, and they're very typical of the plan. As you can see on the right side, bottom is lower level. You can see there's a parking aisle which has, yes, I'll go back to the previous slide to show the parking, the double loaded parking that allows access to these 28 total industrial units. These are 14 industrial units, total, and 14 office units on the top level. Going back to the next slide, you can see the first two stories are industrial levels, industrial strata units, which are accessed from the aisle in the middle. You can see at the level 1, there are doors and garage doors that access each of these units, and then there are stairs that access the second level, which belongs to the same industrial unit. So 7 on each side, total of 14 industrial units. Third story would be 7 on each side, 14 total office units, which are accessed by an elevator. Now, elevator lobbies are on the ground floor on the outer edge. You can see it at the level 1. At the bottom outer edge of these buildings are lobbies that access these the lobby with the elevator access and stair access, and then on the third floor there's a corridor which serves these office units. There are potential stairs that would allow these office units to be purchased together with the industrial units below and be combined, but these will be decided later in construction. Now, looking at the upper image here, it shows the building which is tilt-up construction with punched larger and smaller punched openings and vertical and horizontal sunshade elements. These are all meaning concrete elements, precast elements. And you can see on the upper slide, upper image, the entry is kind of marked by an overhang, horizontal overhang, and some colonnade. The language of the building, the precast language, is done such that the tops of the units are kind of undulated, indicating with the color and the color scheme that shows each unit individually. Of course, they're accessed from the middle, which is kind of partly shown in this image between the two buildings, where the garage doors and individual entry doors are for each of these 14 units, 7 on each side. And then, as you can see, the bottom image shows the view from the highway, which is very prominent, and we have these kind of more elaborate concrete panels that are installed, like baffles along over the 3-story stair, glazed stair structure, which is going to create a nice effect as cars drive by and see the reflection or the lighting through the glass come through. And of course, there's the same color schemes carry, and the buildings are basically a reflection of each other, mirror image of each other, blocks A and B. And then at that, we go to the fifth slide, which is talking about the sustainability. These are, as mentioned, they're tilt-up construction, which is passive design. It creates reduced waste, local materials, concrete, material being recyclable, good thermal mass, and built-in insulation, which is better, more efficient construction, being tilt up, made on site and repeated, more economical with a longer lifespan of concrete, low maintenance, adaptability, allows choosing textures and lines and reveals in concrete to mimic other materials and enhance the design and fit in better with the neighboring as buildings are seen from a distance. There's low emission of concrete, minimal site construction, which is obviously for construction, and which is produced on site. And then there's also green measures that take in, the step code. Obviously, it's going to be meeting the required step code with HVAC system installed, low glazing and LED lighting that are automatic turn on and off, of course, and there's also passive elements like built-in sunshades that are built-in, concrete elements for vertical and horizontal. Solar panels installed on the roof. There's electrical vehicle charging for all the new parking stalls for in the buildings. There's rainwater harvesting, low flow fixtures, recycled materials, eco-friendly landscaping, which we'll talk about in landscaping. And then obviously there's some social and economical sustainability aspects, such as bringing public spaces to this vast parking that is currently underused. There's as new businesses move in, there's local partnerships that would be built, and there's obviously everything would be to go with the universal design. There's more job creation as these units are occupied, and it helps the economic growth of the neighborhood. And we are also providing sustainable transportation that our traffic engineers will speak to. So with that, I'll actually pass the next slides to our landscape and then environmental and traffic consultants to each individually talk to their respective slides. Here's the next slide, and pass it to Andrew.
Perfect.
The landscape.
Hi, everyone. I'll walk you through the landscape approach for this project. The site is currently dominated by surface parking, so our design intent has been significantly soften and green this space while responding to both environmental and functional needs. We've introduced a series of new tree islands throughout the existing parking area to help break up the hardscape and mitigate heat island effect and improve the microclimate for both the pedestrians and parked vehicles. Some existing trees needed to be removed due to servicing conflicts, but we've carefully reviewed the site to propose new locations that not only restore the canopy cover, but also enhance biodiversity and provide shelter and potential habitat for birds and small wildlife. Along the riverbank, we've worked closely with the environmental team to enhance the dike and trail interface. The planting here is focused on stabilizing the bank and improving ecological function and creating a more inviting public realm experience for the trail users. So in summary, the landscape design elevates a mostly paved site with layered tree planting, sensitive ecological integration at the river's edge, and an overall commitment to increasing the greenery and biodiversity while supporting infrastructure upgrades. Short, sweet, that's landscape. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Thibaut Doua with Rowe Environmental. So I'll walk you through the environmental assessment. What you're seeing there is in the green hatch box is the environmentally sensitive area associated with the Fraser River shoreline. So what you see is actually about 60 meters, it's 30 meters on either side of the natural boundary of the Fraser River. What you're seeing in pink is it's the area of the dike that I guess will not going to be restored. It's going to stay as riprap because you can't have any planting there. And then in the gray is the multi-use path. So the existing habitat in the area is mainly a maintained lawn with a few remaining trees. Like the trees were planted, so there's not really any good riparian habitat that was present to begin with. In terms of species present and species at risk, we didn't really identify any potential species at risk that could frequent the area either during or following the construction of the dike. We did a review on site of the potential presence for bald eagle nests, which is a major thing that we need to consider. And the closest one is over 130 meters away, so we wouldn't have any potential for disturbance during construction. Due to the restrictions imposed by the dike footprint and the fact that we can't replant this area, we were left with about 832 meters squared of that green polygon that will be replanted with native species, and that would be part of the compensation for the dike footprint. In terms of subdivision, there's no real impact on the environment for the lot that's to the north, because it's currently just developed. That's all I have for this environmental slide.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aaron Chen, the traffic consultant for this development. We conducted a traffic impact assessment to this proposed development. Due to the estimated traffic volume generated from the proposed development in Lot B is only 18 vehicles per hour, the traffic impact from this proposed development to the adjacent road network, we believe is insignificant. The existing building in the subdivision Lot A is seeking a parking variance. We conducted a parking accumulation survey on Thursday, January 16, 2025, and found that the highest parking demand for the existing building is 117 vehicles and happening at 11 a.m. So total parking provision on the site will be 151 spaces, not including the parking spaces provided in Lot B. We believe that the proposed parking supply is still excessive. To further reduce the parking demand and support the parking variance, the applicant is proposing a transportation demand management plan, such as providing shared parking, 1 year of 2-zone monthly transit passes, shuttle bus program, end of trip facility, enhanced parking, and enhanced bicycle parking and car sharing. That's it for us.
Thank you for the presentation. Andrew, any staff comments at this time?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff have a couple of comments, if I may. The applicant has you just said, they addressed the 2 parking variances. So all I would have to mention there is just to repeat that the applicant is providing a package of TDM measures, including 1 year 2-zone monthly transit passes, a shuttle bus program for a period of 5 years, and a trip facilities, Class 1 bike parking and maintenance facilities, and 1 car share parking space on Lot B with EV charging. The proposed variances have been reviewed by the city's transportation team. They've looked at the transportation impact assessment and transportation demand management measures proposed and are supportive. In addition, the proposed developments will include dike design and construction across the length of the foreshore, up to a dike elevation of 4.7 GSC, and this will the dike design and construction will also take into account the ultimate future dike elevation of 5.5 meters. The applicant will also be reconstructing the dike trail on top of the reconstructed dike with a minimum width of 5 meters. It's also worth noting, Mr. Chair, that the applicant will be retaining and protecting 20 on-site trees and also providing 37 replacement trees, which represents a net increase in on-site trees on the subject site. The applicant has also provided a comprehensive riparian and ESA planting plan. This includes, as we've heard, the removal of all invasive species prior to dike improvement works in line with best practices, and also riparian planting and ESA restorative planting following construction of dike improvements. The applicant will also be providing tree survival securities and landscape securities prior to DP issuance. And finally, as we've heard, the applicant will also be providing frontage and servicing improvements on all site frontages, including Hudson Avenue, Lysander Lane, and Cessna Drive. So those are staff comments.
Okay, thank you so much. Marie, James, any questions for the applicant or the team that's here today? You're muted, James. James, you're muted.
My apologies, Mr. Chair. If I may, greetings, Kazra. It's been a long time since the last time we've had a chance to chat. Just a few questions, and it's really an integration with the landscape design. The northeast corner of the building is relatively close to the proposed multipath pathway. There's going to be about 1.4 meter difference. Could you elaborate a little bit how you are going to mitigate that elevation difference, and within the close proximity of between the walkway or the multipathway and the building?
Yes, I believe that falls under the dike design, and Nick here is with our dike design team, KWL, and perhaps he could further elaborate. But as far as I understand, there is a temporary stairs that would negotiate that elevation difference until such time where the building is redeveloped, and then at that time the elevation difference will be I guess normalized. And I don't know if Nick, if you would like to add anything further to that.
No. So there will be a stair. There's a retaining wall stair and handrail, guardrails at that point?
Yes, that's correct. As far as I remember, I mean, this is again, the dike is designed by KWL, who also has significant experience with city Richmond diking. And I guess Nick, if you want to add anything further to that, please feel free.
May I request that in future we have an expanded documentation of how that's going to work? It's difficult to see in the drawings as provided as such today.
Absolutely. I think I don't know if the dike design page was, it wasn't in the presentation, but it has been submitted to the city, and I don't recall right now off the top of my head if the detail of the stair and railings was shown there. I'll defer to Nick commenting on that.
I don't think we did include it. I think it was part of the. I think we're still at a prelim.
So, all right. So, if you could provide additional detail on that, please. And could you comment a little bit about the sustainability features? You're using PV panels on the roof, and you're aiming for net zero energy. Is that part of the? Are you having storage on site, or how is that How is that working?
Panel was part of ownership's interest that they have had experience previously with other projects, and to government opportunities that were offered. I don't recall if it was time sensitive or not, but we had at that time committed to providing them. And to be honest, in terms of detailing of storing energy on site, it's a bit beyond my knowledge and expertise, and we currently don't have the mechanical consultant involved at this point, but that's obviously something that would have to be taken into account once those panels are installed. If there's an excess production, then that would obviously have to be stored and or fed back to the system, to the grid.
That's the extent of my questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Marie, any questions for the applicant team?
Yeah, just one question and a comment. I'm just knowing these buildings are going to be tenanted in the future. How did you assess the need for just the smaller loading bays as opposed to the larger loading bay?
The type of industrial units that we are introducing are of light industrial nature, which are small scale manufacturing or assembly or even offices, which typically, in our experience, do not require the large loading bays. They're often served by vans that tend to drive directly in through the garage doors that are high garage doors provided to each unit, and there's parking in front of each unit. So the delivery that we envision is typical delivery that an office would require, and of course the existing building has its own small size loading bay, but for this development, we are providing the two small, medium-sized SU9 loading bays. We don't foresee the SW 14 or something. I forget the larger size. We don't foresee that. And to be quite honest, the site didn't seem to allow maneuvering of that type of truck in and out as it existed either. I don't know if Aaron want to add anything to that.
I have nothing to comment.
Thank you. And just a comment, when you're considering the multi-use pathway and kind of the public realm design of the site, we work with a group called the Sea Island Historical Society, and they're very interested in adding interpretation about the history of Sea Island. So perhaps when that work is underway, there may be an opportunity to work with them on that.
Yes, we'll take a note of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Just two, I guess, clarifying questions for myself. And I think I may just make sure I've heard you. I did hear you correctly. You mentioned there's an opportunity for somebody to purchase both an industrial and an office unit together, and then there's an opportunity to merge those two units. Did I understand what you were saying?
That's correct. If I may share my screen, the building design is such that. Sorry, I closed the screen. But the building is basically these units, 7 units on each bar of the building. They're above one another, and the stairs are straight-run stairs that are also located above one another. So the first and second story of each unit, each strata unit, is industrial, and it's only accessed from ground level through either the garage door or a main access door, and the stair. The second level is only accessed by the stair. On the third floor, the units can be individual, but because they're located exactly above the lower, we thought that there could be potential buyers that are interested in more space, and we've dashed in stairs that could be located above the lower stair and will connect these, and then because both uses are allowed in this zone and both are the separations are provided, then we thought that that's just an opportunity. Otherwise, the stairs wouldn't be built, and then the top floors would be leased or sold separately as office units. So there's 14 total office spaces and 14 total two-story industrial spaces, but it could change depending on the market and you know, in construction phase, if there are demands for buyers express demands for larger units, that could be offered. That's all.
Okay, yeah, no, I was just wondering if that then had an impact to any kind of fire protection designs, but maybe that's already been looked at then.
Yes, we would be able to provide, I mean, the floors would be rated, and the walls, because they align with party walls below, they could provide the further rating between the uses if needed. So you will be addressing that for sure.
Okay. Yeah, and then my other question, and I'm just really curious, talk about the local and recycled materials. Are you able to elaborate a little bit on, for both the local, what does that mean, and recycling, what are you proposing to use from recycling these materials?
It was basically referring to the major material used in this development is going to be concrete and precast system. So of course, concrete will be sourced locally, so it doesn't have to be coming from distances. And concrete itself is a recyclable material, so it can be, once the lifespan of it could be made of recycled material depending on I guess the provider. And this is something that typically at the time of construction, contractors can source and build towards the points they get for sustainability. So it was really basically commenting on concrete. Of course, there are other materials used, in finishes, but those will be like any other project. I don't think we would have any significant amount of those to comment. It was mainly concrete.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you for clarifying that. So I guess we'll move on to panel deliberations. Marie, James, any comments? I've got one to add.
I think to add.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I think your question sparked some interest for me. Or just one question for clarification is that all 3 floors are served by the elevator. So your third level and second level, should they be integrated into a 2-level suite? The levels are served by an elevator.
Just a clarification, they are not, all 3 levels are not served by the elevator, only the 3rd floor is. The levels 1 and 2 are all served through via the main double-sided, double-loaded driveway, which has parking on each side. If I may share my screen, let's see if I can. As you can see here, there's a parking. So ground level is accessed by just see if I can zoom in. There's parking, and then there's a 5-foot wide sidewalk, and then there's these garage doors and entry doors. The entry door would come into a vestibule that would open to the space on the ground floor and also continue further up to the 2nd floor. So the 2nd floor of all of these units is only served by the stair. The 3rd floor, however, if I go to the next slide, I'll zoom in. The 3rd floor, as you come in, you would arrive in this kind of corridor that then serves every individual unit, and you can see these stairs are potential stairs. They may not be built if units are sold separately. They're just potentially there. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we'll have a discussion at building permit time. This is not the right time for it in terms of accessibility, but these are discussions we can have at building permit stage and not at DP stage. But it does bring into question for me a statement of universal design if both floors of the ground-oriented units are not accessible. But we can talk about that at building permit stage.
Sure.
Okay. Marie, anything else?
No.
The only thing I'd like to comment on it, I mean, I appreciate the modern design, and I think there's a great opportunity to improve the site with respect to greenery and landscaping, which is commendable, and I appreciate that. Similar to the panel, I am also curious on what happens between the transition between the new dike and some of the existing features. So I think we'll have to rely on the design process undertaken by the qualified engineer to go through that, and looking forward to reviewing and seeing those drawings. as they progress through their approval process with the Inspector of Dikes. So with that in mind, is any of the panel members willing to move the director's recommendation as previously outlined?
I'll move the recommendation.
Okay, Marie first. Any seconder?
Second.
James, okay. Any more questions? No? All those in favor? All right, that was carried. So thank you, gentlemen. Your DP has been approved. It will be forwarded to council when appropriate. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 2, which is development permit 23-030760. The applicant is Kenneth Kim Architecture Incorporated, for property located at 8240 Williams Road. The director's recommendation is that a DP be issued, which would, 1, permit the construction of 3 townhouse units at 8240 Williams Road on assigned zoned low-density townhouses, RTL4, and 2, vary the provision of the Richmond zoning bylaw to reduce the minimum required lot width from 40 meters to 18 meters, reduce the minimum exterior side yard setback along Leonard Road from 6 meters to 4.5 meters, and allow 3 small vehicle parking spaces. Who will be presenting on behalf of the applicant team?
I will. My name is Kenneth Kim. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kenneth Kim. I'm the architect for this townhouse project. Just previously mentioned at 8240 Williams Road. This is a small three-unit development proposal located at the southeast quadrant of Williams Road and Leonard Road, about 200 meters east of number 3 road. Each of the 3 units will have 4 bedrooms plus den, and the floor area for each unit will be around 1,600 square feet. The goal here is to provide an adequately spacious and livable homes for the average townhouse buyer. This site has a bit of a history. The previous owner first started looking into a townhouse project back in 2019, like 6 years ago. It went through a couple of different iterations, like 2-building scheme, and our team, Kenneth Kim Architecture, took over and submitted the rezoning application in 2021. And one of the biggest challenges from the start has been the lot size. It's only half the width of what's typically required for townhouse zoning. The bylaw calls for a minimum 40-meter frontage. This is just under 20 meters. Both the former developer and the current owner have tried to purchase the neighboring property to assemble into a bigger site frontage. It's just been simply impossible. They weren't responding, and eventually they just made it clear that they're simply not interested. So rather than leaving the land underused, we're proposing a design that works now. But also, we are proposing to set the stage for a neighboring site to be developed later. We're treating this as a first half of a future larger townhouse project. That means we're including infrastructure now that can support the other half in the future. Things like the full width driveway, a fire hydrant, and half of the required outdoor amenity space. When the lot next door is ready to go, it can tie into this our development seamlessly. And because the lot is so narrow, we had to be very strategic about the layout. The east side is where the driveway goes, adjacent to the future development, which will be shared by the adjacent lot. On the other 3 sides, To the north is the arterial road, Williams Road, and to the south is the existing single family, and to the west is the Leonard with another single family across the street. And so we are on the arterial road. We're sticking with the fully required 6 meter setback, and that leaves. So after all the setbacks and driveway, it leaves us with a very tight footprint. On the first floor, most of the building area is taken up by the garages. Each unit has two parking spaces, and the rest of the first floor area is taken up by very little habitable spaces, except for the unit 3, which is convertible for future accessibility. And that's why we're asking for the two variances. The first being to be allowed to have one small parking space per unit. So each unit will have one regular parking space and one small parking space. And the second variance we're asking for is to reduce the west setback fronting Leonard to be reduced from 6 meters to 4.5 meters, and we believe it's totally reasonable because if we were to do the current what's allowed by the current zoning bylaw for small scale multiplex, this required setback would be only 4 meters, and we're asking for most of the Leonard frontage to be 4.5 meter setback. And without these adjustments, it would be next to impossible. Excuse me. And looking at the building levels, the first floor has been just described just now. On the second floor, units 1 and 2 will have their main living areas on the second floor, and then unit 3 will have its bedrooms. The third floor for the units 1 and 2 will have 3 bedrooms each, and the loft style bedroom for unit 3. What this does is create a stepped form. Unit 1 and 2 facing Williams Road look like a typical 2.5-story townhomes. And Unit 3, which is adjacent to the neighboring single family to the south, is scaled down to better fit within that context. We also pulled back the walls on the top floor and tweaked the roof design to bring the height down on the south side, adjacent to the single family, so the building feels more like a 2-story building. And in terms of architectural form and character, we're proposing a traditional townhouse look with pitched roofs and a mix of textures. You will see materials like brick veneer, board and batten cladding, and hardy panel accents on the bay windows and roof gables. The colors are neutral and earthy, nothing too bright or flashy, so the building blends well within the existing context. And we didn't, so it's not a luxury, flashy building because this is meant for an average market. But we've made sure the homes are well equipped. The units are designed with aging in place in mind, and Unit 3 is convertible for future accessibility. Every parking stall will have EV charging capability, and the homes will meet the latest energy efficiency standards, including individual heat pumps for heating and cooling. From the safety and security perspective, this proposal works very well. There's only one building housing the 3 units, and it's very visible from all sides. There are no deep nooks and crannies. The east side has a shared driveway and amenity area. The other 3 sides are private yards, each private exterior yard being clearly separated with fences and gates. The whole site will be well lit at night. We're adding downlights as well as bollard lights and at key spots like mailboxes and shared outdoor spaces. In summary, this project is a very livable, forward-looking townhouse proposal that works within the limitations of a very narrow site, but also prepares for future growth next door. We believe this will add new family-oriented housing in a respectful, low-impact way with strong attention to livability, sustainability, and context. Thank you very much for your time. The next presentation will be by the landscape architect.
Hello, my name is Yang Shu Yu. I'm going to walk you through the landscape design. This project has a very tight space. You can see most of the space is occupied by the driveway, and we managed to fit in children play area, the green at the corner, with a playhouse and with benches around and a big shade tree. And around the visitor parking area, we have cedar hedge all the way around to provide screening and privacy. And close to the entrance, there's a mailbox area. We also provided the cedar hedge, as well as along the property lines on the east side to the neighbor's yard. And for the planting, we selected a large variety of plants for this small project. We have 6 types of trees, 15 types of shrubs, and 6 types of perennials. We have 12 replacement trees for 8 centimeter caliper and 4 straight trees. This tree is a mixture of conifer and deciduous, provide year-round interest on the Leonard Road. We have cherry trees and pine trees alternating. And at the corner of Williams and Leonard, we have red maple, Japanese maple bloodgood. And below that is honey locust. These 2 trees, one is red, one is yellow. It provides year-round interest. The structure of the tree is very beautiful. And also we have a large shade tree at the playground area. That's Katsura tree, and the fall leaves are spectacular. We have used at the AC areas to provide screening on the Leonard side. You know, those units we have used to provide screening for the AC units. And at the street corner of Leonard and Williams, we made an extra effort to layer the plantings with ornamental grass, perennials, flowering shrubs, and trees also with some evergreen shrubs to provide structure for the garden. So the shrubs and trees have a different height and texture and color. This will provide a biodiversity for the birds and bees. And for the paving materials, we have proposed permeable pavings, those warmer color tone pavings, permeable surfaces. I think that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Ken, is that the end of the presentation? Is there anybody else of your team who's presenting?
That's it. So in summary, if I may repeat, we believe this will be a very practical, livable, and forward-looking townhouse development that works within the limitations of this very narrow, challenging site. And it does prepare for future growth next door. It's family-oriented in a respectful, low-impact way with strong attention to livability, sustainability, and context. Thank you very much. Look forward to your questions.
All right, thank you. Any staff comments? Andrew?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't wish to repeat what the applicants just outlined to the panel, but I would like to maybe address a couple of points. Firstly, just to note that there is a concurrent rezoning, which is at third reading at the moment. During the process of that rezoning, and no public concerns about the proposal have been provided. In relation to the variances outlined, they do support site functionality, meet OCP design guidelines, and the shared access over the drive aisle provides for future access to the neighbouring property should that redevelop in the future. In support of the small car parking variance, the applicant has provided TDM measures in relation to increasing bike parking on site from a 1.25 spaces per unit to 2. Also to note, the proposed development is being designed to enhance resident amenity. The applicant has provided common outdoor amenity space in excess of OCP design guideline minimums, and each unit is served by private amenity space. As the applicant did note, one convertible unit is being proposed, with conversion requiring the installation of a stair lift, while all units have aging in place features. In relation to the trees, at rezoning stage, the applicant was proposing 8 replacement trees, but has worked with staff since then to increase that number to 12 replacement trees, and will also provide a landscape security prior to DP. Again, in terms of sustainability, the proposed development will be designed to meet BC Energy Step Code 3. And finally, the proposed development will include storm and sanitary sewer upgrades and frontage improvements along Williams and Leonard Road. And the applicant will be required to enter into a servicing agreement prior to rezoning adoption. Those are the only comments staff have at this time.
Okay, thank you. Marie, James, any questions for the applicant's team?
Yeah, I have a question. Thank you for your presentation. As you mentioned, the site is a fairly tight site, and just looking at that visitor parking and the driveway access there, is there enough room for a car to turn around and get out of that space?
Yes, so we did have actually the CTS Aaron was in the previous projects also our traffic engineer. So we provide turning pathways to demonstrate it can work. Yeah, and also you can see that in the middle of the secondary unit, it setback quite a bit. So it's like on-call that is helping to do a three-point turn.
Thank you.
My comments are that this looks to be a difficult site. The project looks to be well designed and well planned for the site constraints, and I believe that's most of the attention for this development permit application is on that. However, I do have a question on the contention that Unit 3 is adaptable. What's your intention? Is it adaptable under the because the 2024 building code adaptable dwelling unit is basically for single-story dwelling units. This is a two-story unit, ground oriented. So the standards you're using for convertibility, is that the city zoning standards, or is it something in the building code?
This is we follow the city convertible unit guidelines, so that wasn't. It's different from the building code adaptable requirement. All
right. Because under the building code, this would not have to be an adaptable dwelling unit. Just a question for staff. Andrew, is a stair lift a device that the zoning bylaw is accepting as a device for achieving accessibility in a multi-story space?
In relation to the proposed development, a stair lift would be considered appropriate for convertible unit, and as discussed previously, there'll be further discussion with the applicant at the building permit stage to identify the measures to comply with any recent changes to the building code.
So I look forward to the second floor layout. When you come for building permit, we can look for, be ready to evaluate your features on the second floor as they are addressed by the zoning bylaw. No further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, James. I have a couple of questions. The first one has to do with heating and cooling for the units. I may have missed it. What's being proposed for cooling features, and where will they be located? And any comments with respect to noise mitigation or shrouding of those units?
Yes. So each unit will have individual heat pump unit located at the ground floor level, and it's facing Leonard. So if you look closer to the site plan, I don't point them. Let me see. Is this being shared? No, it's not being shared. So
that's okay.
And actually, we have a acoustical consultant, and he was just doing this and analysis. Although the report is not finalized, we received his email briefly mentioned based on the specified heat pump unit, specified mechanical engineer, that noise will conform to city noise bylaw.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Now, my other question, it may be better for staff, Andrew, I'm not sure. I noticed that along Williams Road, the street lighting on that side of Williams is by lease lights from hydropoles. Is there an opportunity, or is there a requirement to require streetlights either along fronting Williams and or Leonard Road?
We are also working on the service agreement process. What we know is, yes, we have part of street lighting upgrade task within the service agreement. but we're not sure exactly which street requires street lighting. But what I know is the service agreement include a street lighting upgrade portion. Yeah.
Okay. Looking at staff for confirmation, that's indeed correct. It's being worked on.
Just get my microphone there. I believe so, but I would need to confirm for that.
Okay, thank you for that. So those are my questions. Ristico, anybody in the audience wishing to speak on this matter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's no one in chambers to delegate on this item, and we have no.
Okay, thank you for that. Any written submissions?
Nothing, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right, panel deliberations. Marie, James, any comments or other things worth noting at this time?
None for me. None for me, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Thank you for your presentation. It looks like a beautiful site, and I appreciate the way you've tapered it down to match the surrounding neighborhood, and also the visitor parking seems to have a nice buffer with some plantings between that and the common space, which I thought was a nice feature. Nothing further to add.
Yeah, and I echo that. It's a well designed lot for the space that you have. So I commend you for that as well. Okay, with that, I see if anybody's willing to move the director's recommendation as previously outlined.
Move the recommendation.
Okay. Any seconders?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? All right, that is carried. Thank you so much. Your DP has been approved, and I'll go forward to council at an appropriate time in the future. Thank you so much. All right, new business. Andrew.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The next development permit panel meeting is scheduled for August 13th. At this time, there are no new items to be brought forward for that meeting. Therefore, it would be in order if the panel passed a motion to cancel development permit on August 13th, and if the panel choose to do so, the meeting following that would be the 27th of August.
Okay, that seems appropriate. So we need to introduce a motion that cancels the next scheduled DP meeting of August 13, 2025. Do I have a mover for that motion?
So moved.
Seconded by Marie. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried. I think we are adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.